What's going on, guys? It's Geronimo22. We got the pass rush part of the playbook. We're going to talk a little bit about here right now, just about how to improve your pass rush without blitzing. And then we'll get into some of the blitz packages later. This is a quick overview. You're going to get blitz packages that are going to be pretty simple. You're going to get single backer pressures. You're going to get some single line safety pressures. And then you're going to get your normal combination types of pressures with patterns. Okay. So, two off a side, drop a defensive end weak, or some sort of interior pressure, blitz the back, blitz away from the back, things like that, okay? So we'll talk about that as we go. But Jim Schwartz and his playbook that is online that you could probably find out there, the Bills playbook that I have right here is the same one that you can readily find. You'll see that the blitz packages that he has in that playbook are pretty watered down. He always actually was pretty worried about his playbook getting out there and people catching on to his things. So he actually kept a lot of his really good pressures in-house and kept it like game plan oriented. So they were only found in the ready sheets going up against certain teams each week. So that's what I actually have access to, a lot of the pressures that he used during that season that I was with him. So I'm going to reference some of that stuff and show you a little bit of that as we go along with some of the pressures that I think Madden, we can recreate there, okay? But it's going to start off with just the easy pressure package of the single linebacker blitz, which is called a 10 blitz, which means cover one, but we're sending 5, okay? But first, really, let's talk about the defensive line and how you should use your defensive line, okay? The first tip I would say, man, is don't use 3-man pass rush, send 4, okay? Take advantage of some of the things that we can when it comes to a 4-man pass rush. I'll show you more of that when we get on the field. And then also, there's something called resistance bars. I'm not sure if you guys understand the whole concept, but briefly, it just means that every time your defender uses a move against an offensive lineman, if the defender wins, it keeps the resistance down from the offensive line. It's kind of like a memory system. If the offensive lineman, that particular player against that particular defender, wins and stops the pass rush move, he builds up what we call a resistance bar. And as those resistance bars build up, it's harder for that pass rush for that defender to actually win on his moves against that same player. So it's kind of like the offensive player. I've seen your moves once or twice, so now I know how to play off of you, and I can kind of stop you. So then pass rush is going to become harder. Well, in order to kind of break that whole pattern up, it's a simple trick of just moving your guys around. And as soon as you move to a different player, so let's say Bosa's going up against the left tackle for about 4 or 5 plays, and then all of a sudden you move him over to the right tackle, then that right tackle, he's going to have no resistance bars built up because he hasn't seen Bosa all game. And then all of a sudden it'll be the same thing where whoever goes over and switches with Bosa will get the same result for the guy that was blocking him. So long story short, and really make it real nice and easy, try to find a way to mix your fronts up, okay? And one way that you can do it here is just by looking at your manager staff and go to your team schemes, okay? Find the playbook that matches our playbook. So I like the Las Vegas Raiders playbook because it has a lot of 3-down fronts. And I like to get my 3-down fronts set up. I feel like that's just, I like to get that stuff aligned to get my 4-3 personnel to kind of match up with the 3-4. But honestly, use whatever playbook that's a wide front, which is like the Niners for me is a wide front. Houston will be a wide front. The New York Jets, all that stuff is going to have the 4-3 wide in there. So now you just go into your automatic subs, which is in the same category here, manage your staff. I'm sorry, formation subs. Okay. So formation subs. And then when you look at the defense, right? Now you're going to have your fronts here, your 4-down fronts, 4-3 fronts. Okay. What I would simply do here, and you can mix this up as much as you want, but your nickel front, right? You're going to be in wide, you're going to be in over a good amount. Okay. So those two, I would say I would want to make sure that the defensive ends are on the opposite side in one of them. So wide, let's just leave it the way it is. But when we get to over, I'm going to move Bosa from left of screen defensive end to right of screen defensive end. And you could do that here before the game even starts. And it's going to stay the same as long as you keep your playbook the same on defense from the defensive playbook that you have preset in your team scheme, okay? Hargrave actually technically is not this is a little bit confusing. It says Hargrave is on the left of screen, but really he's not. Your number one D tackle is actually always on the right of screen. So here you would need to actually go and just redo it. So I'm putting Hargrave back. Actually, when you do it here like this, it's going to stick. He's going to be left of screen defensive end, and then Kinlaw would be my right of screen defensive tackle. Okay, it's a defensive tackle for both of them. So how it looks here is exactly how it's going to come out. Here, you didn't make any changes. I know it looks like right now Hargrave is there, but he's really not. Hargrave is actually over here. But when we jump into the game, I'll jump into the game soon. You'll see that those two fronts will have the guys in different positions than what they were. And also, if you have an extra defensive lineman or extra rusher that you want to use in certain fronts, this is a good time that you can, like, put him in the game and mix it up a little bit. Okay. But again, we just wanted to be in a different position than what we started with. So let me just jump quickly into practice mode and I'll be right back. Let's quickly show you that you can use whichever playbook you want in your league. So right now I have my own defensive playbook, which is it's pretty much the same book. I have some other books I use to create stuff, and then obviously I have the wide Gym Sports Y9 playbook here. So this is the playbook I'm going to jump into, and this is what you would do. Obviously, whichever custom book that you're using, or if it's stock book, you're fine. But as long as the formations match up with the ones that you have in the preset book that your team comes with, it will take those formations and overlap them. So the actual 49ers playbook has 4-3 wide, obviously. I just have to get to the other side of the ball. And they have 4-3 nickel over, 4-3 wide, nickel wide, those things. So anything that overlaps. So if the Niners book doesn't have a 3-down front, like we have with some of the 3-down fronts here, like nickel 3-3 Cub, that's not in the 49ers actual stock playbook. So you cannot make adjustments before the game. You have to do it during the game or during practice, okay? But what we did here, if you remember, so look at the bottom. This is the wide front. You see how Bosa's on the left and Jackson's on the right, and you have interiorly you have 98, which is Hargrave. He's on the right. Then when we go to over, you see how automatically it's already set up for you. All right. So now Jackson's on the left and Bosa's on the right, and then you can see the interior guys have been flipped. So this is a great way to like save you some time and get it all set up. But really, now we get those resistance bar situations that I was talking about. It's all kind of going to work out for you. So let me just kind of show you on the field. Let me just get a couple plays here against the computer. Right now, if you click on each defensive guy, you see like a little light little look over here right behind the left guard. As I keep going back to Kinlaw, you can kind of see how the left tackle and the left guard, they have these little light gray boxes right underneath them. So as the game goes on and a pass play happens, you're gonna get this pass rush animation, and right there, like Bosa won really quick on the left hand side. So that resistance is gonna stay down and you're not going to get any type of you see right now. Okay, here's a great example. So you see how it's a red dot right now for Kinlaw. Well, Kinlaw didn't win his pass rush move. Okay, he lost. So right now the left guard has more resistance against Kinlaw. But then over here, Bosa won his move, so there's no red dot building up at all for that left tackle. Over here, I can just tell you that I guess both of these guys won as well without me even looking at it because there are no red dots. So let's look at another one real quick. All right. So it looks like right there, just looking at Bosa, he didn't win his pass rush move. All right. So as we look at it, we should get a red dot on the left tackle. It also has to do also with the abilities of players. Sometimes that's what they talk about. There's certain type of abilities that can hold up resistance. But as we keep on going, that resistance is either going to build or it's going to stay the same or it's going to get worse. Okay, that's that. But what you can do now, after you haven't been paying attention probably for a couple plays, let's say on third down, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch it up now and I'm going to call a lot of my third down defenses from over. Okay, I'm expecting to be in third down a good amount. Over is also a good front to give us another advantage, which I'm going to talk about later, actually right now. But you can see now over here, let's look at the defensive tackles, right? Kinlaw's moved over to this side, and this left guard now has his resistance is now empty. There's no dots there at all because he's going up against Hargrave. So it's a little bit different, okay? So that's just one thing to think about. It's going to help you. And that's, I think that's one of the keys to my success. Actually, over the past couple of years, I've done that a lot. All right. Now let's talk about the actual alignment of the fronts. Okay. As you go through, we have a whole bunch of odd fronts in the back, which are going to have some of our pressures where we're going to bring heat. That's not hard to get pressure that way. But a lot of the wide and over fronts, we're just going to pretty much be in our specific coverage based defense. We're not going to be bringing a lot of pressure unless it's the single linebacker pressure heats. Okay. So wide, if we came out in in a nickel wide, okay, versus a spread set, you see how obviously we have our 2-3 techniques. Now, these guys, in my opinion, do are going to get better pass rush in this game. In Madden, it's actually not my opinion. It's just the way the game is made this year. Pass rush is actually pretty good from the interior. But as they pass rush from a 3 technique, they are always not going to get double teaming. A lot of times it's going to be a single block. Sometimes the center will come out and help. But I have a theory going back a couple years now that the actual um, double team player, the player that gets double team, actually splits the double team faster than even the guys that are on the single block. For whatever reason, I feel like that helps out the defense. So if you are in a passing situation like 3rd and long, being in 2-3 techniques may not help you. I actually like to get into more of the overlook. Okay, so this is where I like to call. That's the reason why I like to switch out of this front, switch to switch to D lineman. But also, I really hope that my best interior player, Hargrave, is going to be double teamed because again, the guy who gets double teamed breaks through a lot cleaner for whatever reason than even the guy that has on a single block. And that's just the animation thing that's been going on for about maybe 3 to 4 cycles. So that's something I believe in. Okay. Another thing is this: look at just in general, just some of the fronts and how we work. This is fine. This is our normal 4-3. This is like a normal defensive front. Like edge guys are going to be 5 technique. You got a normal kind of like hard, heavy 9 right now. So this is over. You're going to still get good pass rush, obviously, from your outside guys. But the good thing about going back to the wide front is for some reason it's kind of intimidating to have, when people see the pass rush coming from the edge guys who are really wide in these 4-point stances, they're so wide that they actually get more of a running start. And if you're playing quarterback and your eyes just happen to flash down there, it's going to look like somebody like Bosa has a running start for 2 to 3 steps before there's any interaction. And if you have one, like I said, superstar player, he's going to light up, even if he loses his battle. So when you're playing quarterback, it kind of makes you just it gets in your head a little bit. Watch this, that those guys get a running start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like they get like 3 or 4 steps. Now they're not going to get in as much as you may like in this Madden. I get that. But just the idea of when you snap the ball in the wide front, you lose a little bit of the interior, but here you get that good old look at this 1, 2, 3. Like those guys are running. You get like a running start off the edge. And when you're playing quarterback, you just feel that. You feel the pressure even without them even getting close to you. You don't know what's about to happen. Because if they quickly shed, they're coming almost like, they're unblocked compared to when you're running the 4-3, the nickel over, those guys are tighter edges and you're going to see them interact with the D line, with the O line. They're going to engage the O line quicker and you might feel a little bit more safe. Okay. So that's something that kind of is just a mental thing. All right. But also, I would definitely say, guys, one of the biggest things is just rush 4. Okay. Get 4 guys going. Okay. Rush 4. I'm not going to force you to rush 5, but definitely rush 4. Don't get caught up running a lot of the. In this defense, I didn't even give you guys the option of running 3-down pass rush. Okay. You have to add that if you want to add that, which is perfectly fine because Jim Schwartz does have a 3-down pass rush package, but, just only rushing 3, I'm saying. But honestly, this is an attack style defense. Any attack style defense, man, you got to rush 4 minimum, and that should be your mentality. You want to get all 4 of your D lineman stats, all right? You want to get all 4 of them in the backfield, okay? So that is pretty much the beginning of how to get a better pass rush. Oh, forgot about one more thing. I talked about this with cover 2 man, okay? If you're going to call some coverage defense, especially on 3rd down, where we're going to use some of our zone, hey, we're just going to drop into a zone and play the sticks or whatever, or you're just going to call some 2 man, get yourself on a defensive lineman. I know I personally don't like to do that, I like to use the linebackers, but on coverages like this where there's really no work for you to do, all you can do is kind of mess it up. Like two man, what are you doing? You can try to back up. You can play with one of these guys back here, but don't get caught cheating because everybody else is in man under technique. All right. So get yourself on a defense alignment. Get yourself on your worst defense alignment. All right. Or get yourself on your best one and see if you can help out his pass rush moves. You know, a lot of us now are getting way more practice with the mini drills. Even myself, find myself doing some mini drills sometimes. So I actually feel a lot more comfortable actually using pass rush moves, you know, or trying to, you know, sack the quarterback and run around somebody. So because you have to do it in the mini game. Same thing with coverage. You know, I feel better covering guys because you have to do that in the mini game a little bit. So that's actually one of the I didn't realize that would be a good thing for us, but use your one of the D linemen, get some more pressure that way, especially on third and long. You know, if you trust your secondary, just do that a little bit more. Okay. All right. So I think using those basic tips of just moving guys around, all right, using different fronts that look scary. And then as we go along, we'll talk about, you know, some actual pressures to make it look even more scary. All that stuff combined gives you a better pass rush. Okay. I cannot replicate Jim Schwartz's patterns that he uses with his stunts, like under Pirates and guys, 3-man pass rush games where we get Toms and Texas and all types of stuff. I can't give you all that because the game doesn't allow it. We can create some of that stuff with our pressures that we actually do with I'll show you here soon with our linebackers and safeties, but we can't do it with the D line unless you want to use one of the D linemen, okay, to do that. But just want to give you this overview. I think this part is actually really important. If you kind of skip over this, you're kind of missing out on a lot of the little secret things that can help you run your defense. So it's worth you know going through all this stuff. All right. All right. I'll see you guys over in the 10 blitz section. We'll talk about you know again what a 10 blitz is and how it's set up, and then we'll just start previewing how to run that idea, that philosophy, because that's what that is. How to run the philosophy of a 10 blitz. I'll see you soon. Okay, so let's talk about the 10 Blitz package system. I call it the 10 Blitz package system because, again, this is a group of blitzes that was always in his game plan every single week. Um, he actually had a name for every position, and that changes based on what team he's on. So when he was with us in the Bills, he used like weather systems like thunder, storm, lightning, stuff like that to tell you who, you know, what kind of pressure it was. And a lot of times the pressure, it would be, you know, off of the passing strength, off of the, you know, linebacker off the passing strength, you know, outside the tight end, or safety away from the passing strength, outside the defensive edge end. Okay. So really what it was, and the way I'm going to simplify it for you guys is 10 package to 10 blitz package is basically the linebacker running through his run gap, okay? Or the safety that's running through off the edge, okay? And however you design it. So a lot of times we can create these things from there's some coverages in the game, like cover one robber, that allows you to make just two adjustments and then you can pretty much send whichever linebacker you want. Okay. And then there's a couple other plays that already have a cover one aspect to it with one guy rushing, but yet we could just switch the assignments. And that'll make more sense when we jump on the Madden field. Okay, so again, a 10 blitz could be any type of package where we want to send a single pressure, depending on either, you know, game plan, we want to send it off the edge or we want to send it through a pattern. So in this picture here that you see, this is actually a pattern, okay, of trying to blitz the open gap. All right. So wherever the front is, wherever the pattern is set to, you see the little left calls and right calls. The linebackers to that side will blitz the open gap. Okay. So we won't go into too much detail about this blitz because we're not going to run this one. But just in general, this is an idea of sending a single linebacker blitz. In the Madden game, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on bringing our single linebacker pressures mostly through our run gaps. So if the outside linebacker is a C gap player, we're going to send them through the C gap. If an inside linebacker like a Mike has an A gap, sometimes we're just going to send them through that A gap. And really, it's more of a run stopping mentality. But there are a couple pressures that I'll show you from the single linebacker blitz package that or even safety package that I feel is pretty good to get maybe some pass rush as well. All right. So let's just start here. Let's jump on the Madden film. Let's look at a couple of examples and go from there. Okay, guys, let's talk about the concept of a 10 blitz. Okay, 10 means cover one, all right, with no help anywhere really besides deep. So we're sending 5 guys, all right. So that's why we use the number 10, all right. Just more for the coaches to remember, what's going on in those plays. So we can take any cover one play and turn it into a 10 blitz. It doesn't even have to be cover one robber. But I do suggest to kind of give us something a little bit different is to call cover one robber, all right? And give us a different way to kind of play cover one. And we're going to come out versus, let's just come out versus 2 backs in the backfield. And this is when we kind of anticipate maybe it could be a run, a pass, we're not sure. But all we're going to do is take the tight end. We're going to take the safety that's aligned to the tight end side. And the way I try to make it is hopefully it's the safety that's coming down, who's the 3 receiver hook player in this hole. And we're just going to man him up on the tight end. Okay. Then after this point, we're just going to take the safety that is originally on the tight end. And here we're just going to blitz him. Okay. It didn't have to be him, but we just decided to do that just to make the beginning of the tape. We're going to send the Sam linebacker. And really, you're not going to get somebody coming home free in this pressure, guys. It's not really what we expect or anything like that. But you never know in Madden. Just by sending 5 guys, you can get sometimes guys home free. All right. So again, we just make that adjustment. Oops, let me man up on the right guy, and then we're straight. So at this point, this would be good against maybe an outside zone or anything like that. But we're just going to try to get that pressure going. Now, you could also send your middle linebacker just the same. All right. So now we're just going to send the middle linebacker. Okay. And in this case, now you would have to take the safety and man him up on his responsibility, which would be the fullback. Okay. Just to make it simple, two play move. But if you want to make it a 3-play move, you could man up the tight end and then switch your assignment on the fullback or user him yourself. Okay. So now we're going to get the middle linebacker rushing. He can win weak right there, but we're getting a 5-man rush pressure. Okay. So in general, when I against 2 backs in the backfield or even against 12 personnel, 2 tight end sets, when I blitz to the tight end side, I don't really expect to get pressure. Okay. I expect to get pressure potentially if I blitz away from the tight end. All right. So let's talk about that real quick. I'm going to come out and cover 4-3 wide. Okay. And there are teams out there from a run game standpoint that want to run weak, right? And we've talked about how to stop the run strong. Well, just in general, this front is pretty good versus weak runs, but sometimes you need a little help, right? So you want to identify, does he run weak? Does he run inside zone weak a lot? Because if he does, we can easily just flip the front and it turns into like an under stack front, okay? Under with 3 linebacker stack, which in Madden, I've actually used this as a base defense versus teams that run weak a lot. It's actually pretty good, okay? You're just going to have to fit with this linebacker pretty quick into this open B gap, and this linebacker should play off of you and help out with the C gap, okay? But you can run this defense and you can run this whole style of defense flipped. But the reason why also I like to do it flipped is that I feel like the blitzes are a little bit better from this side, okay? Let me just run this play again. If you want to blitz the weak linebacker or the weak safety, all right, so what I'm going to do is, again, get this type of look right here. How did I get to this look? Well, all I did was flip the defense, blitz this linebacker, and you see how his blitz angle goes really far inside? Well, if you do it 1 time, that's what it looks like. If you do it 2 times, it goes straight down. So you can actually choose which way you want to actually have him blitz or how far you want him to go inside. I don't know if this is programmed this way on purpose, but I like it. And then we're going to take the safety and man him up on the tailback, and then we can play ball. Okay. So that's another way to get good pressure. A lot of times this guy's going to come through the A gap. Sometimes he comes free like that. Okay. Sometimes he doesn't. So it's not 100%, but I do feel like running this pressure gives you more of a better pass rush blitz. And this is something that maybe you can scheme into your scheme and give you still a cover one. Okay. So, sometimes again, he would run into the linebacker, he would run into the center. Sometimes the center will block back and get him. Sometimes he won't. Now, this idea that I'm showing you actually looks really good when you want to run it from 4-3 over for some reason. Okay. So versus 4-3 over defense, our regular defense where we have a 7 technique over here, when you flip it, okay, you see how the linebackers align really wide? Well, now giving him that blitz angle gives a higher chance that he might come through clean against the center. Okay. He's gonna try to find an angle and try to get through, but that's just a good single linebacker blitz. Or again, you could flip the defense, right? And you could just blitz the safety if you want. Okay. And I'll talk more about having the safety walk down. There's some plays that makes the safety walk down by itself. But blitzing the safety backside is actually pretty neat. And these are good plays, I feel like, versus teams that use play action. You know, blitzing weak, you're going to get maybe somebody coming clean, okay? So right there, you have a bunch of plays that are set up really just from calling cover one robber, okay? We can get into that same thing, and I'll save it for the next half of this first part of this video, because we'll talk about getting into wide here in a second. But just, we also do have some setup plays for you that I think you might like, which is just in cover one, we have linebacker sting one. So if you call linebacker sting one, okay, linebacker sting one gives versus some formations with two backs in the backfield, it gives you that too high look. Okay. So that's a nice thing. You're playing cover one, it's already set up for you, you're good to go. Now, if you make any adjustments with your linebackers, like I usually do, I usually move my guy to where I need to go and I spread the linebackers. Sometimes that safety will walk down to the front side and come down to like right next to his player. There we go. So I did it twice. Sometimes you have to spread him twice and he would walk down into that gap. So now you have another situation where you have your outside linebacker 10 blitz. You can either send him off the edge. Let's do that real quick. Again, this is better probably versus run plays, but you just cause some chaos and get some people in there that maybe aren't used to blocking certain people. So you're kind of changing up the blocking assignments. On this one, he came down early. Or you can do what you think you're probably going to, what I'm going to say is blitz this guy. Again, if you want him to blitz inside like that, you can try that out. See if he gets in type of like natural loop stunt game. Maybe you go contained with that, right? Or you could just blitz him straight down, right? Do it twice, maybe 3 times. I use contained, so it's kind of messed up right now. But again, if you're going to blitz the safety, just have him man up the tight end, okay? So now you can just play ball from here, get a little bit of a stunt game right there, which is kind of some of the things that we need to do. If you want to get any type of looping or stunts, you're going to have to do it with blitzing linebackers or safeties. All right, so here we go again. Let's try it again. So 1 time he goes in tight, 2 times he comes straight down, okay, or right at a good angle. And then we just man up the tight end. All right, so we mix this into your package. And the great thing is that if you're playing in a CFM, people aren't going to know that you actually are bringing, 5-man pressure. It's going to be called cover one. I think this one actually is a 5-man pressure. So just don't worry about that part. Okay. So, but anyway, now we can also run the same pressure and we can flip the defense, right? We can now flip the defense, have it going backwards. Not a huge fan of this because of the man assignments here. Okay. This is why it's a little bit tougher to do from an actual cover one blitz like this. It's a little bit funky, but you can kind of work it out so that the weak side guy will come. All right. But I don't think there's a huge benefit there. That play is best used like it is set up with the strong side pressure. All right. So we do have that ready for you as well. Let me jump into, let's see here. All right. We do have out of under. So that would be another way also. Under would be another front that I would want to get lined up in and potentially play versus a team that wants to run the ball weak. But here, this is already set up for you, right? This is just under, what is it? Under Sam Crash 1. So that's already set up. I would definitely probably spread your linebackers here, just give a little better angle. So again, you could take any of these 3 guys here that are lined up over those 2 and kind of switch it up and say who's going to blitz and who's not. You can play that little game. Okay, so that's something you can do. But that gives you a little bit of a different answer versus some strong side run plays. If somebody's really just trying to pound you to the strong side, just don't even worry about it. Just get lined up and play ball. All right. Now let's talk about quickly. Let's jump into the same philosophy, but let's talk about it from the nickel standpoint because we're going to be in nickel, right? So nickel now goes into, there are 2 different packages that you can use. The one that I have set up already that's easy is in the nickel wide, okay, or the nickel over. Actually, the nickel wide is the one that's set up already, but you can use cover one contain. let's talk about nickel wide, one linebacker blitz, right? So this would be good versus teams that are going to do what? Come out and potentially run or pass, but they're coming out in gun sets, right? So let's just come out in a gun set. And we talked about our rules for the run game, right? So we're going to still use our same rules here because we don't know if it's a pass or a run. That's the reason why I like this, because it's not messing up my run game rules. I just, again, shift the front away from the back. Now I have this linebacker blitzing through the A gap. So if anybody was here, got also the Wade Phillips scheme. There's a play that basically is very similar to the play I showed you in the beginning where you blitz the back, right? This one here, you can kind of switch it up to however you like. Because this gap is wide open, right? Or it looks wide open. Maybe you want to sit over here, play man-to-man coverage and just rock out, right? And then just run your pass. And that's also going to spook the heck out of people when they see a linebacker coming through, hoping he gets blocked. That's one way of doing it. Or if you want to, think about just pressure, right? And we can go back to doing what in the Wade defense we call this Mad One, but also in the Jim Schwartz defense we just saw it. It's called what was it? The backer pressure, the backer blitz. Now we're going to send the backer to the side of the back. Whichever linebacker is blitzing, we're going to make sure we flip the defense to get it so that the guy to the backer to the side of the back is blitzing. We're going to use our opposite, but we're going to sit here kind of close to the A gap, and we're just going to green dog. Okay, if he decides to block, we're just going to green dog and try to hang on, so we can still be +1. All right, so that would be your choice to choose how you want to do that. But again, this is just a single linebacker blitz. This is how we chose to do it. If you want to bring the safety, you want to get funky, right? Bring the safety. What do you have to do? You just have to change your man assignments. Maybe this is the best formation for it, but now we're going to play ball this way, okay? We're going to blitz the safety. If you do it once, he comes inside. If you do it twice, he comes straight down. And now we're playing ball. So you kind of guys, you see how the package is working here? Getting a 5-man pressure from those looks are pretty cool. And if you want to get funky with it and do it from a 2-high shell, you can use the robber press. Now, I didn't have that as a suggestion in the playbook because we have so many. We're going to have more nickel pressures that we need to memorize and have cheat sheets for, but you can always do the same idea here and just man up, right? And then say, hey, screw it. I'm going to blitz my linebacker now. Okay. And maybe I'll either stand out here and versus pass. I'm just going to come off the edge and just try to blitz with my linebacker, or I'll let the computer do it. So you can play cover one and get like a nice little bonus that way. I like the way that works out. All right. This philosophy works in all of these coverages that you have regular cover one that you want to show it. Let's go to real quick last one. We already have weak safety blitz one out of big nickel, which is already set up for you. So you don't have to do anything. You can send him, but we can use the same idea here. Let's just man up the tight end, and let's now send this linebacker. Okay, and we can run this blitz this way. All right, we can just change the personnel. So this is not necessarily something that we want to do to get like immense pressure for a pass play. We're just trying to send 5 people so they're sound against the run, but they're also sound. They also might give you some pressure, especially if you can create that pressure away from the tight end. Okay. So if you can get it so that safety is coming down away from the tight end, you'll be in good shape. All right. So let's just think about it this way. Let's just call one robber. Okay. And we're gonna do the walk down ourselves. So we call one robber versus this play action ace pass. We flip the defense, which we can do. Okay. And just by the way, if you're in wide defense, you can use that squeeze technique as well with the linebackers. But here, everybody's lined up. Everybody has their assignment. But now I'm just going to blitz the linebacker. I'm just going to walk down here, and I'm just going to assume that's half the people that I play are going to do what? Play action pass. And then just send them. Okay, that's kind of giving somebody a little bit of something else to think about themselves if they're a heavy play action team. Okay. All right, so we kind of got that concept down. We understand any of the blitzes that the safety's coming. You can do that. You could take some of the, some of the extreme blitzes if you want to jump into a double safety blitz package and bring both safeties. You can bring one safety and drop the other one back. But again, the world is yours when it comes to this type of idea. It's really for you to be creative. So let me know what you guys find. If you find something really cool, that's perfect. But that world is pretty much the starting point of the Jim Schwartz scheme, and then now we're going to go into some more just generic, setups for blitzes, things that work. 5-man pressures, things like that, to try to get some more pressure on the quarterback. All right. So we're going to see you back here when I jump back into the playbook for the next play. Okay, so we're going to jump into this next 10 type of pressure, but this one's going to be a fire zone. And this is going to be important for us. Really want to go up against some of the one back formations that we're going to get later on. But the first one we have is going to be an over, and it's going to be Sam Edge 3, which is it's the same pattern as linebacker Sting 1. It's just now we're playing fire zone coverage about it behind it. So, by the way, don't forget to turn on match coverage. Okay, that's a huge thing. But we like the 4-3 over package versus these wing sets, right? Because we want to align, like we talked about in the front part, run fit section. We want to get aligned correctly. Now, when they have that wing, the 4-3 over gives you the 7 technique right here. And then you want to have that linebacker outside leverage as well. All right. So what I would do is move myself into the gap on over here. And I would do what? Spread the linebackers just to get that linebacker wider. But we talked about this in the very beginning of the Jim Schwartz scheme. There's going to be times we need to blitz our linebackers. And this one's an organized blitz package. Okay. So we have our rules and the coverage is the coverage part of it is no different than cover 3 seam rules. Okay. So we have two seam flat players, okay, which are working off of, in this case, the weak side seam flat player is working off of number 2, which is in the backfield. And this player right here, the strong side seam flat player, is working off of number 2, which is the wing tight end first. Okay. And whoever becomes number 2, if let's say the 85, the next tight end on the line, tight end goes out, he will work off of him. All right. But originally he's working off of the wing. But in these type of compression type sets, I would call that a compression set with those two guys close to each other, or a stack. That, we're going to end up just playing this out like zone coverage, most likely. We're probably not going to get 4 verticals. Okay. And then our hook through receiver hook player in this situation, he is not like, in match coverage, he is pretty much working off of, um, he's a hook throw player unless he's to the match side of the 3 strong side, and then he might have to take 3 to the flat. In this case scenario, he's going to be reading between 2, 3, and 2. All right. And he's going to try to match in this case. And the game doesn't do a great job of it. He's going to try to obviously match number 3. That's why he's a 3 receiver hook player, but it's not great. So if I were you, I would consider using this player and just try to make sure you take out of those 3 guys, you take the middle of the 3. Okay. So if the wing goes to the flat and the tight end runs a streak, you're going to work with number 3. He's your number 3. You're going to work up with him, and then you're going to deliver him to the deep safety. Okay. If the tight end, with both tight ends, you're like a stick route combination, which is what I think I have here, we're going to push out with the second tight end and come right here. Okay. So just in general, that's just fire zone defense. Okay. But again, going back to the run game part, you can actually just probably run this play if you want to give it a shot and just hope that that linebacker hits his gap versus run, right? He's coming off the outside versus pass. Like I had said, it's still the same idea with the other 10 blitzes that basically don't expect immense pressure here, but you never know. It could happen. Okay. If you ever get a formation that's a slot formation, this is where I would definitely consider switching, flipping your defense. So let's say we get Sam Edge 3. When we are in fire zones and you get something like wing slot, this is where you can run the defense like this, but I don't like having Greenlaw on a wide receiver. So anytime we get slot formation, I flip the defense now. Now we're going weak. Now we have that under stack front that we talked about, and we're playing ball this way. Safety's down now over the wide receiver. He's playing seam flat. We're good to this side. Over here, we still have the same problem that we talked about where this is like a compression set, a wing tight end, YY. So you either play it out 2 ways. You use this guy here and you try to read it out, knowing that if anybody goes to the flat, that you probably will have to take the tight end man to man because the corner might come down, right? If you want to also just make it easy on yourself, just turn that side into a cloud flat or a hard flat, okay? So this is where it gets a little bit, different. I'm going to go hard flat here, okay? And then you can use it whoever you want. But this blitz off the edge on the weak side, you have a higher chance of getting a sack, and it's probably going to be a lower chance against a run. Okay, so anytime you run this type of 10 fire zone, if you have a slot formation, always send it off of the slot. Okay. If you have a pro side formation, you can do whatever you want. You can just send it off the. I would send it off the tight end side. Now, let's say we want to run this also versus. Let's say we want to use our penny package, right? And we have a corner in at safety. This is another time to think about that. So we're going against now 11 personnel, but they're trying to spread us out to run. This is considered a slot formation as well. Okay. So make sure you flip the play. All right. And then make sure that the guy comes down, your safety or your corner comes down here. And now we're going to play ball. Okay. We're playing ball. And now we're using our normal front rules here, guys. We're not using any type of shifting or anything like that. We're just going to play the front out the way it plays out. You know, you have a lot of guys over there. Pretty much every gap on the left hand side is taken. And basically right now the only gap that's really open is kind of the D-ish gap. So I would just stack behind this guy and just expect the ball to come back to you on a run. You're still outnumbering them. It's a poor job by the blitzer there. You're still outnumbering them, but this just giving you, you know, just make sure you don't overrun the play. All right. This is one time I actually wish I can get my blitzer to come inside, but it's okay. In general, we should outnumber him to the left. All right. And we should be in good shape to stop a lot of the run plays, especially under center run plays. Okay. All right. So just want to give you an idea of that one. And I think we have another one that I have set up for you guys. I do have this formation in here for a particular reason, even 6-1. It's really more for the pressures. Jim Schwartz has a pressure we'll talk about later. But we do have one little complimentary one down here, Sam Blitz 3. So again, I would potentially use this versus if you're in penny package. Okay, I would use it there. And if you do use it in the penny package, now we're going to just same thing. We're going to bring the blitz to the side of the slot so we can make sure that the safety or the corner is coming down playing seam flat over number 2. And you can see how, intimidating this front is. We're pretty much getting heavy, a good heavy look versus a lot of the run plays you're going to get. You hope that you get better results over there. You can see how you would think that you would get a better result with the left-hand side. I would definitely look at this and say, you know what? Even though the line is crashing him to the left, I would probably just crash him to the left. I mean, crashing to the right. I would change it to crashing to the right. Left, sorry. Just because we know that the 3 technique here, this is what I always talk about, this bubble is always a problem, okay? So I added this in here, guys. This one is not 100% fleshed out, but I expected this play to get pretty much blown up. I do have a philosophy here, guys. I'll kind of show it to you again. This isn't a run. These are kind of more of a run stopping front. But we talked about playing over top of your guy. Here, if you just play over the guard, play anywhere in this B gap area, especially against a blitz like this, you should be able to come scot free in the A gap. You can be able to scrape and make that play. But we're working that more when I do some amendments to the playbook later on. All right, I was trying to find more ways to get 5-man or 6-man fronts, and I think this is going to be one of the ways. But both of those plays are the only 2 plays that are just like each other. We have a couple other 5-man zone pressure looks that are coming from odd fronts. So those are going to be in a different category because the blitz pattern actually has a blitz pattern. It looks different. Okay. There is another play here in the 4-3 over wide that I don't have in this custom playbook. It's very similar to this Sam Edge 3. It's just that the linebacker is shooting through the C gap because it's a wide front. That's in the game. That's already in the, especially if you're using a stock book, that's going to be there for you. So you can use that as well if you like. All right. All right. So that's it for that short part. I just wanted to give you a little bit of the, you know, A 1A, and this is kind of like 1B. All right. Now we're going to get into some pressures that I'm going to show you some pages on and have some patterns. And they're going to be pretty easy. That's the great thing about the rest of this Blitz package. You really don't have to do a whole lot of adjusting. It's more just plug and play. But let's talk about when to use them and how to use them. Okay, so we're at the part of the book where we're going to start talking about some easy pressures to set up. Really, there's really no setup. These are now we're talking about combinations, patterns. This one is what people would call America's Blitz. Jim calls it Falcon Firezone. So to the passing strength, you're always going to get the outside edge rusher coming off the end. You're going to get the next interior player rushing inside. Okay. And then you're going to get a looping long stick player coming from probably a defensive end. Okay. So that's the pressure. And then you're always going to get on the backside some sort of dropper, most likely a defensive end, into a seam flat. Okay. And we got our cover three rotation in our secondary. So we're just going to get our fire zone thirds. You have your deep outside players, which I didn't talk about too much, but those guys are going to be playing mod technique. Okay. They're going to be playing man over depth. So if a guy goes past 10 yards, they would man him up. Our safety will come down and play seam flat over here to the passing strength. And then we would get our three receiver hook player dropping in the middle. All right. So this is a base defense that every team in America runs. We call it Falcon Zone. In the game, it's going to actually work for you so that you don't have to make any adjustments. So, like the 10 fire zone we just did, we had to always make sure that the blitz was going to the slot or to the passing strength, I should say. Really, this one here, this is going to be worked out for you very lovely that you're going to be able to just let it plug and play. All right. The game itself will flip the play for you. Now, just real quick, this is a base personnel. So we have one out of base personnel that I'll show you. And then we do have another one that's going to be out of nickel. It will be out of the odd front. I'm going to combine the two and just, give it the same name. In Jim's system, sometimes he would kind of call odd front blitz is different, or he would put the word odd in there. So he might say like odd Falcon, right? But the pattern's still the same. Nickel's coming off the passing strength, obviously. He always travels to the passing strength, and Mike is blitzing through the B gap. The only thing, though, in the game right here, and I'll show you when we get out on the Madden field, that this end, I can't necessarily get him to long stick. So this might be an example where you might want to user that guy, okay? And then just one quick thing, I'm going to just take it off versus empty. If you get an empty formation, I would not suggest to run this play. And I'll tell you the reason why as we go. And then also, I'll take a look at some more formations. There might be one or two more things, but it'd be easier to talk about that once we get on the Madden field. So I'll see you out there in a second. Okay, so now we have our Falcon Firezone. So the first one we have is pretty generic underfront. And also, I didn't talk about the actual pattern. The pattern here is coming most likely from the side of the underfront that is the shade side. So that's where the blitz is coming from. Or if it's an odd defense, it's coming from either side because really, it's an odd defense has a 5 technique, and that's the only one that can actually slant inside. But really, the most important thing is you're going to know it's going to come from the passing strength. So if we're against two backs in the backfield, pro formation, it's going to come off the right side of screen. That's where the tight end and the flanker is. We're going to get this pattern combination. There's nothing that we have to do. All right. So the outside linebacker is going to blitz. The inside linebacker is going to come through the next gap. He's going to, come outside of the defensive end. And it's just a simple pattern. We're going to get also, the backside player dropping in the coverage. Okay. So again, America's Blitz, you can use it whoever you want. Just keys to remember is that in coverage, anytime you get a formation like so, that's compressed, you definitely want to get yourself out of seam coverage. Just put your players in curl flats if you want, or hard flats, and then just play ball. You can use it whoever you want. Okay, so this is Falcon Firezone base personnel. Right, you want to get yourself in position to just give your guys some different opportunities to come after the quarterback in different ways. All right. The other thing you can do here quickly is that if you can, we've had this rule in the past teams that I've been on, you necessarily don't have to drop your weak side seam flat player, especially if he's a guy like Bosa. You can actually make this into a 6-man rush. This would turn it into what Jim would call blitz. Okay. But really, it kind of comes back to if there's nobody going out to the flat to the left hand side, he's really not going to affect this defense so much, especially if it was spread out. All right. If it was spread out and you're going to get this outside corner playing mod, which means that if the receiver runs past 10 yards, he's going to take him man to man. But really, you can just send the extra guy if you want. If you're feeling like, hey, maybe it's a run or maybe it's a play action, and you feel like you might want to get some more pressure, you can do that. All right, but just the bare uh, construction of this blitz is that it's going to set up itself also off the passing stream. So if we ever had a formation like run the same thing from under, Sam crash 3, and we go up against, let's say we get a slot set like this, wing stack, right? Let's just go regular wing slot. All right, now the formation is going to take care of itself. The blitz, they're going to get themselves set up the right way. Again, it's coming from what I call the underside, all right, where the one technique is. Both is going to slant inside, and then we're going to get this little combination pattern right here, and our safety is going to come down and play seam flat, all right? All right, so just make sure match is on, guys. I'm not sure if I have it on right now, but just make sure match is on, and then also make sure you understand the formation that anytime you get something like this, where it is a tight side, compression side, you're going to either have to just put them in a hard flat, put them in a curl flat. Okay. If you do decide to blitz this guy and just say I'm going to evacuate the zone over there and just let it go, the corner should play outside correctly. He should still treat that like it's a hard flat. He should play that correctly. All right. Interesting that right now let me make sure it matches on my strong safety is not matching number 2 for some reason. I'm not sure why. It matches on. That's interesting. All right. But he will match too. He's a seam flat player, so we're straight there. Now, let's go into the nickel version of this play, which is going to come out of the 3-3 odd package. Okay. Overload 3 press. All right. So we like this obviously most likely against what? More gun sets, one back in the backfield type of stuff. And we're going to get some empty formations, which we'll talk about here. So this one is the same pattern, except your defensive end here is not long sticking. Long sticking is going from pretty much C gap all the way to A gap. All right. And you can also see how the linebacker looks like he's hitting A gap a little bit. Even though when you watch the play, he doesn't always hit the A gap. But what I would do sometimes here is I will actually use the defensive end and I'll just come down myself into A gap and the linebacker should play off of me. Let's take a look at this. Right. So I would usually try to get a better, obviously, time up the count. It's hard to do it quickly. I'm not making any adjustments whatsoever. Um, you could potentially just slide the line quickly, slide your D line quickly to the right. But, right now, you time it up. Again, I'm going to end up probably having to, I might end up engaging a little bit. I might end up touching the guy a little bit. So I don't want to like manipulate necessarily, but I'm just trying to slant hard inside. Let me move the linebacker out here a little bit. Let me just try this out for size. Sometimes you got to try things out. And I'm just trying to go inside with the D line. That's what I'm trying to do there. That might be a better look, but I don't think I have to move that guy outside. Let me spread the linebackers. Let's try that out real quick. Yeah, it's hard to definitely to not to go inside quickly. The only other thing I can think of quickly is if let's say I manned up the running back. I'm wondering if they're gonna let me go inside. If I'm gonna touch at the end. Oh, you know what? That's the thing. Hold up. Pause and go back on this. Okay, so the other pressure that we have is out of the nickel 3-3 odd package. Okay, this one's a little bit not 100% the way I would like it because we don't get the long stick, but we do get the pressure off the edge. All right, looks like the linebacker is pretty much going to go A gap. All right, but this is how it's set up. The one key thing is make sure it will adjust for you when it comes to the passing strength, just like the under blitz did. So if this was trips, and I'll show you in a second, the blitz will line up to the trip side. All right. But the one thing I would just say is make sure that when you run this play, that is this one in particular, because this is the odd front here, just make sure that the tight end is in line. Okay. And I'll explain that for you. I'll show you in a second what I mean by that. Let this play happen. All right. Because we do have our defensive end dropping out into a seam flat, which is not easy. But if for some reason this is going to be 2x2 set that's spread out. Let me show you quickly. It's going to be hard for him to actually. The assignments are just going to be real wacky here. All right, so they're going to actually have a linebacker that's walked out trying to come back inside. We're going to have this guy going out to the seam flat. In real life, we would check this and have this player here go to the 3-receiver hook and sit in the middle. I guess I could do that by putting him in a spy, but I'm not sure I could put this linebacker over here into a seam flat. Yeah, I can't. So he's going to be now just playing curl flat, or I have to user him myself, which you can get away with if you want to user this player. But it's just a lot of work for a blitz that I feel like we're not going to run that many times. So let's just let it go and let it be a play that we only use versus if you know the tight end is in line, if he's close to the line of scrimmage or a wing. Don't use it when he's split out wide, okay? Now let's go back to the actual, let me show you a different formation here. Let's go back to the actual blitz. If you do want to try to get the long stick, you can. Just kind of like highlight this guy, all right, and then just kind of slightly, there's a way like put like 10% pressure on your control pad, so you're not moving him, but put pressure going to the left, going inside, like at a 90-degree angle, all right, like a 9 o'clock angle right now. Even against the computer, like they can kind of tell when I have pressure that they're not going to stop the ball, that I'm actually moving. But if you do it right, then you can kind of just long stick that guy and just try to see if you can find an open gap to the inside. And this blitz hits pretty quick. That one I was late, so. But this is a good play. Coverage is always going to probably be your main concern, so I'm glad that we don't have to make a lot of adjustments. You want to make sure that your coverage is good. I'm not a huge fan of running this versus trips like this, but you know what? It's necessary sometimes to have to give a different look. Because that nickel's pretty much never going to get there. But I think, to give the guys a different look is worth it. So that's pretty much it. Oh, and one last thing. Empty, I would just get out of it versus empty. You're going to have that same problem where anytime 2 is removed, you're going to have that defensive end having to get out there and play against them, all right? Now, in this odd package, I do have the 2-4 odd, which I think you guys are going to play straight up. The 3-3 odd is going to be a little bit of a hybrid package, or if you really want to run this a lot, or you feel like you need to, you can just go and take your third outside linebacker and put him here. Okay, I think that's sim. I've seen it done in Jim's packages, right? So now if you want to go back and put whatever you want your DN to be, go back. This player here, you don't have to make it a defensive tackle. If you want to go back and put Jackson there, that's fine, because there are going to be some coverages as you see through this part of the book where that guy is dropping a lot, right? So that guy might as well be a linebacker sometimes, right? So that's what I'm looking at right here. Same thing. Let's come out versus this formation, the dreaded trips tight end. And sometimes you just want this player here to be a linebacker that can actually drop normal instead of being a defensive end. Okay. This one here, that because you are the 3-receiver hook player would need to be adjusted a little bit here. Where is he at? Come on. I get Warner. All right. So, get yourself over in this play, even though the blitz is coming, because you're going to need to get out there. And this is not a great, like I said, versus trips is not wonderful. I like it more versus 2x2. All right. So that's it for this one. I'll see you in the next play. Okay, so the next pressure we have is called Raptor Firezone. So it's in the same family. Okay, you hear the birds that we have here, and what we're working here though, the pattern's a little bit different. We have a pattern that's going to be, well, really the construction is different. It's based out of the double mug front. Okay, so it's going to be double mug. Okay, we are going to get passing strength pressure with whoever's on the edge of that side. He's going to come off the edge, okay, and we're going to get it here. This is actually a base version. So actually, let me go back. We're going to just run this out of nickel. So let's look at that page, okay? We don't have to worry about base. So from nickel, our nickel personnel, right? We're going to get the nickel coming off the edge, all right? We're going to get our linebacker that's aligned to the same side as the nickel. He's going to blitz the A gap. And then we're going to get this long stick here, and we're going to have to use that long stick in order to get that full effect. If you don't want to use that guy, that's fine. You don't have to. But it's very similar to Falcon, except really we're just doing it from a mug front. All right. So really the same rules and coverage will apply. We're using the Fire Zone rules, cover 3, and I would not run this versus empty personnel. All right. Let's take a look at it on the field. Okay, so we have Raptor Firezone. This is a pretty, easy pressure here to find. It's your double mug pressure that you have in your playbook. Firezone 3, right in the middle. And let's just come out versus same thing. We try to find plays that the tight end is in the core, just so we don't have to deal with the fire zone part of it. As you see, this is the problem when you run fire zones. You have to make sure that the fire zone, meaning zone blitz pressure, you have to make sure that your coverage is going to work out for you. But as you see, it's pretty much set up um, similar fashion here as you saw in the book. You have the nickel blitzing off the edge. You have the linebacker here that's on the same side as the nickel. He's blitzing. Okay, the only thing we don't really get here is some type of stunt game. All right, we don't get that stunt where this DN is kind of coming, looping behind. So this is one case here where I would try to have some fun, and I would use Urbosa. I'm just going to put that light pressure to the right hand side about 3 o'clock. See if the computer doesn't really recognize it here. Let's see. There we go. All right, and I'm just going to try to loop inside and get inside one of those gaps. I think I went too far. There's a lot of bodies in there, so you don't have to necessarily loop so far. You really only have to probably go like one gap over, but you're trying to just come behind that defensive player. That's your defensive tackle. And let me see that linebacker pressure should be coming. The one thing I don't like 100% is how he's actually slanting back across to the A gap strong, but we can't do anything about that necessarily. But again, usually this pressure comes home pretty clean. Um, I can continue. If there's an open gap on the opposite side of the center, I will continue to run that. But if you want to just run this stock and just let it go, that's fine. We're not going to get it. We're not going to get it perfect. We can just get it stock, and you can probably get some good pressure this way as well. That's the generic pressure that everybody does. Okay, to get that nickel coming free, because really what you're getting is that overload with nobody really long sticking back inside. So or looping back inside, I would call it. You can get that pressure that way. But I try to be a little bit simulated and not get that. Again, this stunt, I forgot the name of this stunt. It's not long stick and it's not a loop, but this type of stunt coming underneath both the sometimes it'll be also the linebacker as well would help out. But right now that's the best that I can give you when it comes to this. But this has always been just a good pressure, right? It's in the same family as Falcon. That's why it has a bird. Well, technically a bird name, right? Even though it's a dinosaur bird. But yes, it's an aggressive style out of the double mug, something you probably use on passing downs. This just kind of uses a changeup. All right. But again, if we ever get a formation where the tight end is walked out like a true slot receiver, you're gonna have to look at it in a different light and probably not run this play. Okay, because you get the same problem on the right hand side when it comes to the pressure. So that's the bad thing about the play, though. You can only really run it versus tight end in the core. You might have to check out to a different play. All right. So there we go. I'll see you guys in the next blitz. All right. Next up, we got a real fun one here. It's called Vulture Firezone. All right. So what we're gonna get here is basically an old school type of cross dog blitz with your inside linebackers. Okay. And then you're gonna have a walk down safety that's gonna look like he's playing man to tight end, look like it's cover one, and he's gonna come screaming up the middle, and most of the time he's gonna come free. All right. You can use it this guy, or we're gonna let the computer do it. I'll show you both ways. The only adjustment you're gonna also have to make is take your one of your your defensive end that's not dropping, and just put him back into a bluff blitz. Okay, but this is a cool blitz. It's cool to get the safety coming up the middle like that, and I think this can give a lot of problems to a lot of people. You're probably guaranteed to get at least a hurry on this. Same rules. Well, the rules may not be so fully applied here when it comes to this is not good versus a walked out number two. You might be able to get away with it because of the personnel that we're using in the game. All right. I'll see you on the Madden field. Okay. So we have Vulture Firezone. All right, let's get it. So we're going to use our 2-4 odd package here, which personnel wise, you got just to make sure everybody's in the right spots that you want. You're going to get 3 linebackers on the field, so that's good for you. You're going to get 3 rush guys. So just make sure everybody's who you want to be. Um, your rush guy here should be a defensive end. I'm not sure why it's not that way for me right now. And then I'm going to get 3 linebackers. So this is going to help me. Um, this play right here, running out of the odd, this allows me to get the potential of having a guy walked out. Let me just start out versus a spread set. So I'm okay now with versus the second receiver if he's walked out. We have Greenlaw playing the seam flat over here, so I'm okay with that. All right. So what we're gonna get here is you see the cross dog blitz up the middle. All right, that's fine to go. The first adjustment you're going to make is you're going to take the defensive end that's away from the dropping linebacker. All right, and you're just going to put him into a bluff blitz. So he's going to come down and then go back into the middle. All right, so that's going to give you that 3 receiver hook player in the middle. And then also I'm going to take now my safety here. All right, and I can either user him or I can let the computer do it. I prefer to user him. So I'm just going to walk down. Maybe I'll walk down over here, make it look like I'm playing man to man, right? Or if you just don't care about it, you can just walk down like into the middle of the box, just play like a couple yards behind your linebackers. Okay, when the ball snapped, all you're going to do is just take that gap that's open right in front of you. 80% of the time, 90% of the time, it's going to open up. All right. So obviously, you want to time this up a little bit better than what I just did. It's kind of hard, obviously, to do it versus a computer because they know what's going on. But let's just do this. You know who's a quick snapper. You know who's not. Just come up here, kind of show something, right? And then try to get up there. Then now you're just going to come free. And like I said, you're guaranteed to get a pressure on the quarterback, really, regardless. Okay. And let me do the same pressure with the computer doing it. What I'm going to do is take this safety and put him in a blitz, right? I'm going to take this DN and put him in that bluff blitz. And then all I'm going to do is go show blitz. All right. And that's going to walk the safety down towards the box. All right. And then now you got everybody else is good. Your corners are playing about 5 yards off. If you want to back them up manually, you can. Let me see if I can do that here. Yep. I can back this guy up. It's taking a little while to register on the right hand side. I don't know why. But anyway, just you're good here, guys. You can also use it a free safety if you just want to watch the middle of the field yourself a little bit, but just play ball. See, that's the thing. Unfortunately, the safety doesn't really hit the angle that I like. All right. But again, this right here, as you see, versus Kittle versus a linebacker playing seam flat. Not a huge fan of this again, but you can get away with it. I just wanted to show you can get away with it, but I'm still going to run this play against a tight end that's in line more than a play where a tight end is not in line. Okay. So set up here, we'll go versus 3-by-1. We're just going to bluff blitz right here. Okay. We're going to send this backer. All right. And then I'm going to walk down maybe to like here. Maybe I'll try to make it look like I'm, disguising a little bit. It's kind of hard versus 3-by-1 to disguise it. Again, we're coming from depth. I'm not trying to hit this like on the run. I ran right into that guy. I got to run around him. But yeah, you want to get that quarterback pressure from there and go from there. Now, just like I said, you can always turn any of these plays into a hot blitz if you want by just not dropping that D end. Okay. So if I did that, I would probably do something like, show blitz, let the computer do it. And then I'm the free safety here, pretty much playing almost like a hot technique over number 3. If the ball comes here, I'm going to play that quickly. Okay. But that would guarantee that the pressure is going to come because now you're sending an overload. But Jim Schwartz has a whole thing called hot blitz, which is a whole, it's already actually in the game. We're going to use the hot blitzes most of the time. Here, we're still going to try to get the 3-under portion of this defense. That's why it's called a fire zone. All right. So that's that play. I hope you guys like it. I think that's a play you can try to mess around with, even versus empty. You can give it a shot, see what happens. Right. It's a little bit risky versus empty, but sometimes you gotta just you gotta throw the kitchen sink at somebody, and that gets a lot of players involved who can get sacks. All right. I'll see you on the next blitz. Okay, so we're into the hot pressures. The hot pressures are just 6-man rushes, okay, with any blitz pattern that you want. So right now we have something called bullets, which will show up again when we call some cover zeros. But the bullets pattern is basically two guys off the edge on the outside. All right. So whatever defense you're in, as long as you got two guys coming off the edge, 6-man pass rush, it's called bullets. But as soon as you put the word hot in front of it, then you're going to get the word, you're going to get the idea that we're playing fire zone coverage with two under, three deep. Okay. So that's what we get here. We're going to work this out of an odd package the way we're going to do it. We're going to have a straight up 6-man pass rush with a little bit of an option if you want to do a pass game on the inside, because you can see in the pattern bullets, you have both D tackles getting upfield and both D ends coming under. Hard to recreate this again in Madden without using it. So if you really want to do that, we're going to have to user. We can get that option for you. I'll show you how to do it. But otherwise, we're just going to have a straight 6-man pass rush here and get the same type of effect, okay? Pressure, good on 3rd and long. If you want to get the ball out of hand, somebody's hands quick, you don't want them to set up for a deep pass, okay? And it's a good change up on any other down and distance in the middle of the field that you feel like you want to get a change up, okay? But just remember, the hot idea is just basically adding the 6 rushers. So when I was talking to you about Raptor, or when I was talking to you about different types of fire zones, you could just turn them into hots by just, instead of having that DN drop out to the seam flat, just send them. Okay. And then as we talk about coverage, the key thing on coverage is making sure that you user probably one of these hot players. I'm not sure. I don't trust the game to really play the hot technique. What you're doing is just looking for the number twos. You're pretty much manning up the number twos with the two underneath defenders and forcing the ball that has to go outside to the number ones. Okay. If it's 3-by-1, you can see how the hot players coming over to this to the slot receiver, and the other hot players coming over to the tight end. Okay, so that's pretty much how you play it. We got to look at the coverage and see how it plays on its own in Madden. But this is a pretty simple blitz. It's a blitz idea. It's again just adding the 6 rusher to a lot of the plays. 2 of them in the game that are already set up, so you don't have to add the 6 rusher. But you can do this to any other pressure that you want. All right, I'll see you in the Madden field. Okay, so you see here we have our pressure section. We have 2 that are set up for you. The Sting Press, Buzz Sting Press. All right, so you can see how we're sending 6. This is a good pressure to ensure that the ball probably has to come out quick, or they're gonna have to keep somebody in the block. All right, so let me just find a normal play here. 3-by-1, it's all good. We're just sending 6 people. The nickel is going to be coming off the edge, and then our outside linebacker over here will be coming off the opposite edge. All right. Like I had talked about the hot techniques, these hook curl players play more like true zone. They don't really match up man to man, or they don't really try to like take away the certain people. But from a coverage standpoint, you would need to probably user this guy here. All right. And you're looking for the number 3. Look to get over to the whoever number 3 is to that side. All right. We're not worried about the number 2 to the flat. We're thinking that most people, if they see this, they're either going to throw the ball quick, so you should be able to see it with your linebacker, or they're going to probably block that guy. Okay. So that's pretty much it. We're just sending a 6-man pressure. Now, if you trust the underneath coverage part of it, what I would do is if you want to try to get the stunt to work with this, the 2 guys that would kind of like end up pretty much stunting here would be your interior 2 players. So as you see, Hargrave and this linebacker are the inside of this blitz. They have 2 guys outside of them on each side, right? So stunting one of these guys outside of the guy next to them would help out on the blitz. I would do it to this side because there's no tight end. Okay. And all you got to do again is just hold your stick a little bit to the left, and then just try to come through and stunt through there. And that would be the stunt that I would try to work on if you really want to get the stunt part into this. If you tried it with the linebacker on this side, I'll show you real quick. Sometimes, oops, I messed up. Sometimes you run into the tight end, all right, and you run into the tight end to the right hand side. Let me try it again. I actually got a pretty good rush there. Oh, I keep stepping inside. I don't know why. My finger's not holding it correctly. That's the stunt part that actually works out. The tight end goes to work straight up the field. Sometimes you would run into him. So I'd rather use the opposite the tight end, and then try to work a little pass rush game. You're still getting 6, but it could be kind of cool to kind of like, obviously if the quarterback tries to scramble, you might be able to get out of there quickly. All right. So that's one that we have there out of the 2-4 odd package. And then we also have another one in the 3-3 odd package that is the Hot Blitz 3. Okay. So we're going to get the same idea. Let's go against a tight formation. All right. We get the nickel coming off the edge. We got the linebacker blitzing. All right. And then we have our hot control as we go through. If you want to stunt, I would consider potentially taking either the interior two. So it would be this linebacker. I would consider stunning with him because he's away from the tight end. All right. And I don't know if that nickel's really going to get there. But really, I'm just going to try to go outside Bosa, right? Try to open it up for the nickel. That's pretty much how I would do that. Let's see. Maybe I would also consider angle wise. Yeah, he's coming inside, so that's fine. So again, I would just use it as linebacker maybe, and instead of just hitting the A gap, maybe go outside. But you don't have to. That's all optional, guys. I'm trying to add in some of the Jim Schwartz stunts and line games that work with this stuff the best that I can. But honestly, you can just sit there in coverage. You might want to be in coverage versus this anyway, and just work your twos. Okay, whoever is the relate to the new number two, whoever shows up, and you have yourself a hot blitz. And like I said, you could take any other pressures that we did so far, all those other fire zones, and you could turn them into hot blitzes. You just change the name to hot vulture, hot falcon, hot whatever it is, raptor, and you can run all those pressures the same way. Okay, this one though is called hot bullets. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next part of the video. Okay, we have a Blitz here that I think is going to be attractive and really is part of his personality. Jim Schwartz playing the trap coverage. Okay, so this Blitz is going to be called Odd Rat Trap. What we're doing here is we're bringing the nickel off the strong side, passing strength. All right, and we're going to show the cover 3 look in the secondary. So we'll have our safety walk down towards the weak side, and we're going to play inverted cover 2. So the safety will fly out there and play the buzz flat, but in the game, I'm pretty sure he's just playing hook curl. Okay. Corner would drop back and play a deep half, inverted deep half. Safety will rotate over to the passing strength. Corner would play curl flat. All right. And we're going to bring pressure off the front side, off the passing strength. So this is called odd rat trap, and we're just going to call it rat trap because we have this also out of a non-odd package. But that's pretty much the same pattern that we have going here. This is a good disguise for all the cover 1 that we play and cover 3 that we play. And then I like the idea of just bringing the pressure with it. So it's not just regular 2 invert. You're bringing heat. So the ball should come out quick and they have to make a quick decision. Okay. We'll take a look at this one on the field. Okay, so the first one we're going to do is out of a double mug look. Okay, so we have the nickel 2 trap. We're going to treat this like the rat trap play. Okay, and we're going to work it we can work it here versus a compressed set. Why not? All right, so we're going to get us a simple pressure, guys. We're not going to do any line stunts or anything with this. We're going to let the blitz just rock out. But it is good, obviously, when you have that double mug look. You know, it does kind of influence the offensive line a little bit. I am not a proponent of ever hovering or doing anything like that to get a blitz in. This is a good way to stop anybody from hovering because as a vertical hook player, you need to get underneath number 2 on the left-hand side of screen. And then over here, the same thing over to the right side of screen underneath the tight end and make sure that you are there if the ball is thrown quickly. All right. Now they have this as a soft squat, which makes sense if you do get verticals. You could be in trouble if you played it normal cloud flat, but I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it a cloud flat. I want it to be a little bit more of an aggressive corner. I might even go hard flat versus something like this. All right. So who do you use there? You can use it whoever you want. I suggest using a linebacker. Okay. And as the ball snap, just get out underneath number 2 or the new number 2 and just play ball. All right. I think people are not, you have to understand that when you run this, people are not going to assume this is cover 2. So I ran out probably too far right there. They're going to think it's cover 3. They're going to think the corner's going to fly out of there. Let that thing set up for him. I don't have to take away that route for him. Let the corner be the guy to take away the shallow route over there. Okay, if anything, get towards the middle of the field a little bit better. So I did a poor job there, right? I'll let the corner just play normal. What do you call it? Squat corner. You see when he plays normal squat corner, he's a little bit late to get down there. But that's where we are now. Formations that could give it some trouble. This is a wide blitz. This isn't a, so you have to be careful of really going up against a lot of trips formations. I like this again versus 2x2 more. Versus trips, it might be a little bit tough, but you know what? It might be worth at least giving it a shot just to see if you can get somebody off kilter. So let's just say we get this formation. This is actually a 4x1, right? Here, I wouldn't sit here and hold it. I would have to come out here with the linebacker and potentially stand here out wider, okay, and go from there. And because everybody's over on the left hand side, you have to also consider maybe taking this guy like manning up number 4, or getting him maybe in some sort of just middle hook curl, okay. Vertical hook, not going to be the way to go. All right. So these are the problems. I'm sorry, middle read. These are the problems that you need to worry about versus 3x1, which makes it a little bit of a headache. Okay. I just noticed also that our safety wasn't down versus this. Let me check something out real quick on the fly. I think versus 2x2 he comes down, versus 3x1 he goes back. Yeah. Okay. So that's the other thing there. That can help with disguise a little bit, but the safety is back versus 2x2. And I wouldn't run this versus empty. I think this is a play that gets called off versus empty formations. Okay. All right. Then we also have it built out of our 3-3 odd package. So now you have a little different personnel, but you also have it built here, giving that nice little look. You can see here that now the linebackers are not in the gaps anymore. So they're walked out. So that's a little bit more of invitation, inviting you to maybe play with a different player. Okay. Play with the corner, you can play with the backside safety, but we're just going to let this play rock out and just be a little bit of a surprise. It just kind of catch people off guard from a lot of the single high defense that we might end up getting caught in, trying to stop the run. All right. And this would also be a good run stopping defense. Now, versus bubbles and stuff, this would be one of the first times I would say that, you're not in great shape versus bubbles. I haven't really talked about that too much. So you're not in great shape, but you hope that that flat corner would at least be able to push the ball back inside. All right. So you have two versions of odd, of just basically rat crap, and just rock out with it. Mix it in there, use it as a changeup. This is one of Jim Schwartz's favorite plays to run, or at least coverage scheme behind his blitzes. It's really good once people start trying to throw out routes and throw it to the flat versus cover one. All right. I'll talk to you in the next blitz. Okay, so staying kind of in the trap family, but we're actually playing regular cover 2 here. This is a simulated pressure. Again, nickel pressure coming off the edge. Okay. And we have nasty 52 switch. Okay. Passing strength call. What we're going to get here, we're going to come out of an odd look package, and we are going to send the nickel off the passing strength. Okay. We're going to have to make one adjustment here in Madden. We're going to have to drop actually 2 adjustments. We're going to just change the drops. We're going to get a middle read player, all right, with our middle linebacker, and we'll take the other linebacker here and put him in a vertical hook. But we're going to play cover 3. If you want to user this and try to manipulate it and make it look a certain way, we can go with the show blitz as well to give it that cover 3 type of shell, all right? And then we're going to back out into cover 2 and try to catch people off guard thinking that they're getting they're getting a 5-man pressure or 6-man pressure, but they're just getting cover 2. Okay, simulated pressure. That's what simulated means. That it looks like it's actually a blitz, but it's not. All right. So let's take a look at this on the field. Okay, so we're up. We have the nasty 52 switch. Okay, and this play is going to be using our nickel odd package here, pinched 2. All right, so let's jump out here versus 2x2 gun for now. And what we're going to get here is a pretty easy blitz that is just looking very similar to what we had when we had the rat trap blitz. Our nickel again is coming off the edge, but now we're playing true cover 2. The 3 adjustments you can make, 2 of them are mandatory. Third is not, is up to you. Is to take the linebacker away from the nickel, put him into a middle read, okay, and then take the next linebacker over here and put his drop into a vertical hook. Okay, so the original play had him coming off the edge on the right side. We don't want that. We just want to make this into a 4-man pass rush. So again, middle read, and then we want to go to the vertical hook. All right, and that's it. Now the extra part, if you want to play around with it, is to show blitz. And when you show blitz, that safety walks down. That wasn't me right there. That was the computer. So let me just do that again, just so you believe me. All right, so let me make my adjustments here quickly. Middle read, and then go with the vertical hook. And then now I'm going to go triangle on the PlayStation and go show blitz, and the safety walks down. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. I think if I go show blitz again here, back up. Yeah. So if you want to kind of like time it up, walk them down, okay, and then walk them back. That's something to think about. So show blitz, like we had talked about earlier in the early parts of the videos, is something that you can use in a lot of the fronts that we have, so that you can kind of keep it going with that single high look. And if you want to play it out from here, that's fine. But then you can back them up at the last second, all right, and play ball. So that's this pressure. It's pretty simple, all right. We don't expect to get home. We just expect to spook the quarterback. We got home there, but we expect you to spook the quarterback and just try to make him throw quickly into cover two. All right. Both your corners are playing soft squat. You don't need to. You can put them in cloud flat if you want, because this is really, again, a simulated pressure. But that would be a lot of adjustments. I completely understand if you don't want to do that, but that would be like 5 different adjustments there. But at the same time, you want to get productivity if you have time. You want to make sure you have what you need. And it looks like the nickel here is coming for clean, but that's not guaranteed. That's just an added bonus. All right, guys. All right, so that is a pretty easy blitz. I like that one. It's a nice change up. You have a lot to choose from so far. We only have about 1 or 2 more left, and I'm going to group them together for you. So they're really easy, plug and play. Don't have to make any adjustments. I just want to let you know what they are. All right, I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so the last couple blitzes here, I don't have a picture for. Pretty much what I'm doing here is a little bit of improvising what we have here. The first one is called Cub Firezone. All right, this is going to be found in your 3-3 odd package. And really, it's just basically bringing both all 5 guys. So it fits into like a five. I call it a 5-0 blitz. We're just pretty much going man to man across the board, making everybody have to block. Again, you use this when you have a team who has a really bad offensive line. This is the package I showed you guys earlier, where I'm going to put my 5 best pass rushers in the game right now, for the most part. So this is where I would take out my linebacker here and put in another defensive end if I know I'm going to run this blitz. So this blitz is very simple. It's a fire zone, but really it's a change up off the cover 1, because we can run a cover 10 blitz just like so. So really it's kind of in the same category as that, but we're just going to call it a Cub blitz just to make it a little bit different, knowing that the fire zone 10s are usually ones that aren't predetermined. They're ones that are, you have to change somebody, move somebody down, or somebody's coming off the ball. This one here is going to be predetermined, set up in the Cub defense, just Cub fire zone, and then Cub blitz if it's cover 1. All right. So this is self-explanatory, guys. This is really just to get those matchups that you want. Um, and then if we want to add in an extra part of this defense here, we do have blitz 1 linebacker lurk. So if you wanted to go back to saying, hey, we're going to play a little bit more of a 10 style linebacker blitz, just make sure right now that your coverage is fine. You might have to flip the play here. Okay, but now we're going to go back to potentially having one of our defensive outside guys playing man on a running back. Okay. In other defenses, he does have a Hurricane 10 peel. We can make this into a peel blitz if you guys know what I'm talking about, but we're not going to do that right now. We're going to keep this in the 10 family. All right. So we have 3 different blitzes here, starting with the original one, our regular Cub Fire Zone. We can get into just cover 1, which is just basically Cub blitz. All right. Just bring in those 5 guys. And if you want to bring the middle guy, we can also go with a linebacker lurk. All right, so we're bringing now 5 guys, but we're just doing it from a different spot. All right, and it requires you to have a player playing man on the running back over here. Okay, so those 3 are just good to have. These are going to be part of your package that you would get into when you. I do have a cover 0 blitz. I'll talk about that later. But this would be part of the package that you would jump in and out of, or try to spook somebody to get out of, maybe running a lot of inside zones. I still don't think it's great against inside zone, so I use it more as a pass rushing front. not necessarily a run stopping front. All right. Now, the other one that we have here is going to be Wing Firezone. That's what I'm going to call it. It's basically in the big nickel package, there's two plays. There's weak linebacker blitz 1, and then there's also our weak linebacker blitz 3. Okay. And then we do have I'm sorry, the weak linebacker blitz 1, you guys already called that part of the 10 blitz package. I apologize. The 3 and the 2 will give you that wing, what I call wing here. Wing is just another word for weak because that's where the blitz always comes. It comes away from the passing stream, no matter the formation. So you have a normal just blitz off the edge. Again, I'm not calling it a 10 blitz just because it's a little bit different where it's automatically set up. All right. And you don't have to worry about making any adjustments. And it's set up that way. And it's always going to be coming down to the weak side. Over here, we have the cover 2 version of it. Again, the weak side of the formation. All right. We're going to get the nickel. Wherever your nickel is going to walk back. And you're playing a version of cover 2 for under. All right. And this is not in the same family, but it's in the same idea. But the weak safety blitz, again, we use this for disguise, but this is more of that. This is definitely like a 10 blitz because we're going to end up taking this guy and blitzing him sometimes. And sometimes we're going to end up changing him out and having him go play somebody else and then bring somebody else. Okay. So that's part of the 10 blitz package. Hold on. Trying to get my guy to blitz. Okay, so that's that part of it. So it's pretty simple, guys. Those two are just self-explanatory, almost just like there's no setups, just plug and play really, and just go. All right, so we have that, and then also we have in the bear package, which I'm going to do a separate video on later as an additional video, just to go over some red zone stuff and some goal line, short yardage defense. We just have linebacker blitz 3, which again is in the same kind of family as it's predetermined. All right, there's no changing needed. We're just coming out in bear versus probably 21 or 12 person or any type of big personnel with 2 receivers or less. We have our 5 rushers already preset here, and we have the zone drop behind it. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then at the very end, we do have a couple cover zeros. So the zeros go back to the bullets family. Remember the hot bullets play? All right. We have a couple in every single formation. There's probably a few of these. So bullets would be something that would be on the outside. Okay. And bomb would be something on the inside. All right. So if we are in the, what do you call it? Let's go back to, let's just look at, let's go back to the double mug. That's an easy one. Double mug is bomb, right? So if we just run blitz 0, mid blitz 0, that's just called bomb cover 0. So we have the 2 blitzes coming on the inside. And then if we had something coming off the outside, this is part of the reason why I wanted to put in this play right here, the 6-1 Samuel blitz, right? That would be an outside pressure. All right, so that would be the bullets. Okay, we already have bullets we know from the hot pressure, but this is a cover 0 behind it. So if you see that in the playbook, this is going to be throughout the playbook in some different formations. You're going to have basically your interior, all right, and your exterior blitzes, cover 0 looks. Use them in situations that you need to get the ball back, maybe short yardage, maybe goal line, maybe 3rd and 1 if you really want to take a chance. All right, and then obviously, it's a good defense to stop a lot of the RPOs. People try to spread you out, those type of things. So just be ready for that. All right, that's pretty much it for the blitz package, man. I think you guys will enjoy how intuitive this blitz package is overall. You can work with it. You kind of like to, you kind of as soon as you understand the concepts of what's going on, you can just basically run maybe go into a game and pick 1 or 2 type of schemes. Like, hey, I'm going to 10 blitz them and I'm going to hot blitz them, and pick those 2 schemes and kind of now you have about 3 or 4 different plays you can run out of each and just mix it up and change them up from game to game. Watch some other people, see what they do against your opponents and try to copy some of that stuff. But you pretty much should have every type of blitz in this game, in this package. That's how well thought out it was when Jim Schwartz put it together. All right, guys. All right. I'll see you guys in the next little additional video that won't be part of the main package. I'll talk a little bit specially about some red zone and some goal line stuff. It won't be long. It'll be more just like a little amendment to the book. All right, but the main book is now completed. You guys go out there, have fun. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, definitely hit me up. All right, guys, Jim, the coordinator crew, we can have long conversations and watch video on this stuff some more. And then always watch my film. I'm going to incorporate some of these new blitzes and stuff like that that I, found from the Jim Schwartz book into my scheme a little bit. So you'll see me doing that in my games as well. All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace.